Hello and welcome, everybody. I'll just get myself organized here, and I'm sure there's quite a few people to come. A lot have registered, and I'm super excited to get going with the presentation. So while we're just getting set up, what I thought I would do this time is, instead of bore you with the death by PowerPoint, I've created a PDF of the presentation. So I'm just going to pop the link in the chat, and let me see. Let me pop it in there. And so you can just download that, and you can follow along with me, or you can use it later for reference. If when you jump on, great to pop into the chat and say hello, or not, whatever is comfortable for you. Yep, send lots of hearts and thumbs up. And really, this presentation, I've called it the 3 steps to mental fitness, but I'm going to talk about a whole lot more than that. But I really believe our mental fitness is the key, or one of the keys to our success. So how to make the most out of this session: participate actively in the chat, take any notes that you want. As I said, I've put the PDF presentation in the chat, so you'll have that as a reference. And turn off your phone or mute it, turn off the telly. Make sure you've got a nice cup of tea with you. For most of us, Thursday night at 6 o'clock is almost the end of the week, and we're all feeling tired. So I just want you to get really comfy and enjoy the next 90 minutes or so. So tonight I'm going to talk about, and I guess the question I want to ask you is, how would you like to go from being ordinary to feeling extraordinary? And how would you like to have more energy, clarity, and vitality? And having control of your thoughts so that you can do what you love and what lights you up. So I'm here tonight to tell you that if you're watching this, if you've been drawn to this webinar, and you're feeling a bit misaligned and out of sorts, then you're going to get some aha moments tonight. You're going to get some revelations, and hopefully it's enough to get you back on track and to know that, life's meant to be good. We're meant to have fun. We're not meant to struggle. We're not meant to be sad and lonely and isolated and down. So it's about embracing the moment and letting go of all the beliefs, the thoughts, the thinking that you've had in the past, and just have an open mind here. Open yourself up to pure potential and possibility of what is possible for you as we drill down and start to shed back some of the layers that might be holding you back. So what if you could change your relationship with the stereotypical thoughts, such as, this is as good as it gets? And I know that's a classic Jack Nicholson phrase in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But for many of us, we get stuck in thinking that this is our lot in life. And I guess I'm here to encourage you to stop thinking like that and know that you can change and you can create the life that you really dream about, that you desire, that you feel passionate about. And it comes with making these wee small changes one step at a time. And when you do that, you start to have more energy in your day, and you start to go from the cup half empty to the cup half full. And it also helps you to get more clarity and more hope, and your life really starts to become more positive. And we want to get rid of all that brain fog and start to see more clearly. So we want to understand that getting mentally fit is possible without feeling shame and giving away your power to the doctors or to medications. Quite often, now I'm not bashing Western medicine, doctors, the health system, but I guess I'm just here to encourage you to think that there is more options, opportunities out there that, if you're feeling a bit down, if you're struggling a bit, if you feel like you're losing purpose in life, then yes, there's a place for doctors, there's a place for medication, but there's also places for lots of other, I call them holistic or alternative ways and means. But what I truly believe, that there's so much support around for us, but it all starts with us making that decision, giving ourselves permission to make the change and to be brave enough to take that first step. So this webinar is a wee bit different to probably what you're used to. So one, I'm not going to do PowerPoint. As I said, I'll put the link to the PDF in the chat so that you can download it at your convenience and you can reference it or go back to it if you feel you want to. But today I'm going to explain to you why energy plays such a huge role in setting yourself free from being stuck, from being down in the dumps, from going round in circles, and why doing business differently is now a possibility for all of us. And I call it the new business paradigm, which incorporates body, mind, spirit, soul. So I'll touch a bit on that as well. And also why we need to refocus, why we need to re-energize ourselves and reinvent ourselves to improve our mental fitness. And I believe that that's one of the keys to sustained success. So we've only got 90 minutes. So obviously I won't be able to go into it deep, but I'll be able to scratch the surface a bit and give you a taste of what is possible. So some of the problems on not being mentally fit, it affects us physically, mentally, emotionally. And we also have biological changes in the body, and we can suffer work problems, relationship problems, family issues, financial issues, all sorts of issues. But the research tells us that when you're experiencing mental health issues, negative emotions, that the science shows us that it biologically impacts the cells in our body. It changes the neural pathways. It affects the uptake of nutrients, enzymes, chemicals in the body, and it can be the start and predisposed to disease within the cells. So impacting hugely on energy, on mood, all sorts of things. Also, hormonal challenges can create or compound the problems as well. So we've got, we have puberty, we have perimenopause, we have menopause, we have postmenopause, and everything else in between. And no matter what stage of life, what cycle that we are in, if our hormones go out of balance, then it can affect us in so many ways that can compound our mood swings. It can accentuate our brain fog, our fatigue, insomnia, weight gain, weight loss, and a myriad of other problems. Because mental fitness is when we work on our thoughts that create our emotions and our behaviors, then we can start to shift and see if we are being a negative Nelly. And if we are, reminding ourselves that we want to flip that. So going from the glass half empty to the glass half full in the matter of a thought can shift where we are at that moment in time. So we might have these problems now, but know that many of them we can shift, we can improve on, and make positive changes in our life. And that's just us doing that ourselves without, asking for external help, whether it's through pharmaceuticals, counseling, coaches, mentors, healers, whoever it is. There's so much that we can do ourselves. And we know that we've got a huge problem in society with anxiety, depression, sadness, loneliness. I was only reading the other day that research coming out of America saying that they surveyed a huge percentage of small businesses in America, and the main issue that small business have is the loneliness. They're not concerned about the hard work or all of that, because most people who are in small business, it's a labor of love, because we love what we do, and so we're happy to put in the hours, put in the time, the energy and the effort. But what they cited in this research was that loneliness is a huge problem for small business and large business as well. But this research was just specifically looking at small business. And we know that loneliness can contribute to us spiraling into self-doubt, lack of sense of self-worth, and all sorts of negative type emotions. So, and we know that that contributes to all sorts of productivity problems, relationship problems, and all the rest that I've mentioned previously. So another piece of research I came across was 47% of employees have quit in the past year when a job negatively affected their well-being, and 57% are considering quitting their job to find a role that better supports their well-being. So what that's telling us is that people are no longer prepared to make the sacrifice of their health, of their happiness, of their lifestyle balance by just putting up with the same old, same old. And they're prepared to take that step to get out of their comfort zone and make changes that they need for their own happiness. And many of them are finding that by really recognizing what it is that they want, what makes them happy, what burns that fire in their belly, that by taking the next step to find that, it might not be the first step that they take that they find it, but it's the step in the right direction. And the old adage is one door closes, another one opens. So there's always opportunities if we feel aligned to make these changes. Then we feel light, we feel happy, we feel positive, and it's easy to take the steps to move forward. So I'm going to talk about, how we can improve our mental fitness. And I want you to think about this webinar where we're going to go from feeling ordinary to extraordinary, and imagine what it feels like to be extraordinary, having fun, with more energy than you've had in a long time, and having that clarity, that vitality, that hope, and having fun. Because for many of us, we've lost the sense of having fun because we're so caught up in the grind of day-to-day life. So if we're fed up feeling stuck and going round in circles day in, day out, having the same repetitive thoughts, know that we can change this. It doesn't mean that this is forever. It doesn't mean that we have to put up with it. And I encourage you to be curious and start to write down some little thoughts, some little tweaks, changes that you can make in your day-to-day routine that's going to help you to shift out of that place that's not serving you well. And for many of you who might know Dr. Joe Dispenza, so he's a neuroscientist, and him and his team have been doing research for a long, long time, and he's written many books on the neuroscience of the brain and how our thoughts create our behaviors and affect the way that we live. And some of his recent research shows that we've got the ability to rewire our brains. And when we rewire our brains, we've got the potential to change our life, because it's kind of like when we rewire our brains, we wipe it all out and we start with a clean slate, and we get to choose what our life, what we want our life to look like. And because we know that we're all energy, we're all made up of neutrons, atoms, electrons, protons, and the science shows that you can affect change at a molecular level, a cellular level in our body, and that changes our vibration, and that can start to change the way that we think and what we experience. So it's super amazing stuff, and it's very deep at times. But just so that he's written lots of books, and I'd encourage, if you're interested in the neuroscience of thinking and thoughts and behaviors, then it might be worth checking out some of his books. So as we move through the webinar, I just want to let you know that at the end, I'm going to make you an offer to help you create a plan to improve your mental fitness so that you can have a life of fun, of freedom, of abundance. And the deal that I'm offering today is around about $2,000, where I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process on how you can shift your thinking, change your life, and come out of that spinning round like a hamster on a hamster wheel, shifting your cup half empty to cup half full, and really starting to create a life that you are really happy with, excited with, and also creating a healthy body, a healthy mind, where you're in control, where you've no brain fog and your anxiety's dissipating. Because all of us, our mental fitness is our birthright. When we came onto this planet, it was to have fun. It was to experience this human experience in all of its array, not to be sad, lonely, isolated, depressed, in struggle, in scarcity and lack. And as Tony Robbins says, make yourself the CEO of your own health. And I just find that quote when I was preparing this presentation, and I thought that's really quite profound, because when we give ourselves permission to drive our own health, our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, when we give ourselves that permission, then we start to educate ourselves. There's so many things that we can educate ourselves on these days. There's podcasts, there's internet, there's books, there's research. So there's really no excuse for any of us not to be able to learn more about some things that might be bothering us, upsetting us. So tonight, is it okay if I show you the exact steps I took and the results I got for myself and my clients when I made the decision to really fine-tune my mental fitness and really become super aware of it, and to start to create the life of my dreams, my desires. So firstly, who am I? Well, I started off my life, I'm Joan McEwen, and I started off my life as a registered nurse, went on to do a health science degree, done a postgrad in mental health, and that kind of helped me understand the physical human body, and the mental, the organic side of the body, so that the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, and how it translated into the physical. but I needed more. Like I've just been this perpetual student in my life. And so I went on to study naturopathy, became a naturopath so that I could understand. I knew the Western medicine, but I really had a strong desire to understand Eastern medicine and alternative medicine so that I could really get a holistic view of how we can heal and how we can live our life by design to really achieve as much as we possibly can in our life. Because remember, we came into this life having made an agreement of what we were going to do in this life, what we were going to achieve. And being part of the human experience, a lot of us have lost sight of a lot of that. So I was also many years ago studied and became a Reiki master, and that helped me understand energy and universal energy and how our thoughts can really be shifted and changed to create a better experience in the body, in the mind that affects our health. After all of that, I went into the oil and gas industry, the mining industry, and became a senior executive and managed and implemented health functions across globally with these large resource companies. And then I left that world having burnt out and took some time out to heal. And then I set up my own practice, which I'm in now. And that's helping female leaders, entrepreneurs, help to balance their body, their mind, their spirit, so that they can align to their soul blueprint, that contract that they signed off on before they came into this life, to really find the purpose work, their why, and to really accelerate and amplify the goodness, the genius that they're here to share. So in between all of that, I self-published a book on female leadership, and with a strong element around healing and growing and repairing ourselves, letting go of judgment. And now really just mentor female leaders and run workshops and share that it's possible for all of us to change if we are not happy, if we're not fulfilled, if we're not really doing what lights us up inside, then it's possible to change. But the first step is to make that decision to change. And when I worked out what my unique point of difference was, that's where I started to get trajectory in my business. I really, because I knew I was good in the health world. I knew I was a good leader. I'd been in executive leadership positions for many, many years. But when I realized that it was combining all of my knowledge and skills that I learned over many, many years in my career. But it was when I incorporated the energetic side of it and working in the quantum field, which Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about, Deepak Chopra talked a lot about it. And what I've found is that working in this space is where, excuse me, it's where the magic happens. It's where you get to really start to heal energetically. And so when I talk about healing it, we're healing from the inside out. It's where when you start to do that and align your energy to your real purpose work, and you align to your health blueprint, your soul blueprint, that's when you can really start to understand what your purpose is, why you're here, and look at the recurrent themes and patterns and programs that's going round and round that aren't serving you anymore. And it influences our thoughts, our behaviors, our emotions. And so when I find out that by working in this space of energetics and also incorporating the physical components like diet, nutrition, exercise, and also looking at, why we feel the way we feel, and what attention are we paying to nutrition, to exercise, to um, basic ways that we think and behave. That's when the real shifts started to happen. So I want you to, as I'm talking through, please drop any questions you might have in the comments if you feel that you need some clarity on anything. But I encourage you to really think about what your why is. And my to give you an idea, so my why is all around, health, teaching and educating people about the body, mind, spirit, and how by combining that in a holistic manner, you get wellness, but you get balance. And that's where you start to transform and you start to really be intentional about your passion, your why, your purpose work. And I'm very involved in community. I do a lot of volunteering, and about 5 years ago now, I volunteered as part of the medical responder team for the Commonwealth Games that came to the Gold Coast, and it was such a sense of community. And it was probably on the Gold Coast at that time. It was probably what I found was one of the happiest times, of where everyone just had fun. There was no judgment. Everyone was supporting each other. Now I'm Scottish, but have been in Australia for over 30 years now. And it was probably the first time that I really started to feel accepted in the community, having lived here for many, many years. And it was just such a beautiful experience. And so for me, I find that that was a huge healing experience as well. We have several dogs in our family, and they certainly keep us very grounded. Um, and the legacy I think that I want to leave is for my kids, for my grandkids, and for generations after that, to know that um, we don't need to be relying 100% on the Western medical society or the Eastern, but it's a combination of all. And the key is to be informed, to be knowledgeable, to learn as much as you possibly can, so that you can make these informed decisions. So, as part of that, when I got into business and really started to understand what my uniqueness was and marketed my business in a way that worked with my clients energetically, but also physically, mentally, emotionally, I was awarded the Business Excellence Award in 2021 in the category of health and wellness. So I guess that was validation for me, to say that I was aligned to my purpose work. And when you're aligned to what your passion is, what your purpose is, everything just flows so much easier. And yes, you still have to do the work, but it's very effortless and fun and light. So if you've been drawn to this webinar and you're interested in what I've said so far, then the offer that I'm going to offer at the end of the webinar, I will add in 2 additional bonuses that are valued at just over $2,000. So I'm I'm looking to work with five people on a one-to-one. That's all the capacity that I have, because I do very deep, intense one-to-one work. So if this is something that you're thinking about, know that that's possible for you, and I will pop the link into the chat shortly on how you can check that out a bit more. So let me tell you about how I improve my mental fitness. And trust me, it's been an ongoing journey because you just don't improve your mental fitness and you're fixed. It's kind of like an ongoing process, but the more aware that we become of when we're starting to slip or slide, the easier it is to correct ourselves and support ourselves and do what we need to do to um, reset ourselves. So I was just an ordinary Joe Blow, no one special, and thought that it was normal growing up to feel sad, to feel overwhelmed, to feel, the black sheep in the family, full of self doubt and very little confidence. But when my career started as a registered nurse, even though as a professional I became very knowledgeable, but I still had incredible self doubt. I was always comparing myself with others, thinking, they were always better than me, more cleverer than me, smarter than me. And I was just so frustrated, always feeling that everyone was better and more successful than me, and that success and joy and fun and happiness and all that was for other people, but not for me. And it didn't matter how hard that I worked, I just never seemed to get to that point. But somewhere inside me, I knew that life wasn't meant to be mediocre. Um, and I wanted, and as a high achiever, I was always a real tough taskmaster on myself. And I felt that I felt a failure, but I felt that, I could do better and that I wanted more. And so I started going in search of how can I fix this? How can I get past this? Because this was a pattern throughout my life, and I got to a point where it was like, I'm done with this. You know, life's not meant to be this hard. So anyway, today isn't about me. It's for all you watching, either on live or replay, female leaders, entrepreneurs, fed up going round in circles, doing the same old, outdated patterns of behavior. And I want to show you today that it's possible to go from self doubt to being confident. And so, if you want to achieve this, to achieve what I done, then keep listening, and I'll share a few more nuggets with you along the way. So, if you're feeling exhausted, anxious, depressed, full of self doubt, or maybe just not good enough, then know that it's time that you can shift that, you can make a change. And that all ties in with having a lack of energy, a lack of clarity, and it impacts your self esteem. And when your self esteem's low, it holds you back. So today's about saying yes to no more being ordinary and yes to feeling extraordinary, looking through a different lens and being open to doing life and business differently by prioritizing you, taking control of your own mental fitness and not giving your power away to other people, whether it's doctors, whether it's to prescription medication, whether it's over the counter medication, whether it's to giving your power away to other people who tell you how you should be feeling, how you should be behaving. And my mission is to help other female leaders and entrepreneurs improve their mental fitness to gain that strong, healthy foundation that makes you robust. Well, you can have fun and become prosperous. And I talk often about unlocking your unique codes. And with the energy work I do with my clients, we tap into the subconscious mind, into the higher self, where we unlock parts of our memories, and I call them codes, where they might have been turned off or gone dormant, and we start to activate them and start to awaken you to pure potential and possibility. So if this is sounding exciting to you, you can sign up to my offer today, receive over $2,000 worth of additional bonuses, and start to go on that journey to release and let go and reprogram yourself so that you can experience fun, you can experience joy, abundance, prosperity, and most of all, freedom to live a life that you want to live and not what you think that you deserve because that's what other people have placed upon you. So several years ago now, a client of mine came to me. She was a senior leader in a global organization, a really important job. She was just so exhausted. She'd been 3 days in bed. She just couldn't get out of bed, didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to talk to anyone, didn't want to really be involved in life too much. She was exhausted. She was overwhelmed. And she had gone from being a really vibrant career woman, single mom, bringing up kids, doing all that stuff, but also maintaining a very senior executive position in a global company. But what had happened, she'd got to the point where she was just exhausted and started to get self-doubt. She started to really doubt her own ability. She was letting people push her about. She was really, she just had such low self-esteem. And she was this incredibly well-educated, clever, capable, knowledgeable woman who had just gotten so exhausted, so depleted that she just lost all sense of belonging. And so we spent a lot of time working with her, and she was engaged in multiple modalities to get her back on track. But what she done was she reframed her identity. She really started, she done a lot of inner work and started questioning herself, who she was, what did she want, why did she want it, what was her purpose, what legacy did she want to leave, and looking at, what made her happy, what brought her joy, and started incorporating some of these things into her life. And the more that she done that, and the more energy she started to get, she started eating better, drinking water, spending time in nature, all these things that we know really start to heal us, or heal our soul. And she started to gain clarity. She started creating a plan around, what she needed to do, what her next step was. And she stopped living in other people's shadows, and she gave herself permission to trust herself, to believe in herself. And that was on her journey plan was, my plan is to be extraordinary. But what she realized later was that she already was extraordinary, but she just didn't believe it herself. And that goes for many of us as well, because we have all the knowledge, wisdom, information locked inside us. And we just need to find the person who's got the right key to help us unlock it, whether it's a mentor, a coach, a healer, a friend, a colleague, a peer, whoever it is. But most of us need someone to just help guide us, to support us, to nurture us, to be the cheerleader in the corner, to help move on. So what happened when I left the corporate world and set up my own business? So I left the corporate world, as I mentioned, really burnt out, exhausted, and really I guess I worked in a male-dominated environment, so I was always competing to be heard and never getting the same acknowledgement as my male peers would get. And so it took me a long time to heal when I left that world, to really find the belief in myself again, where I found my passion, find what really brought joy to me. And I stopped listening to what others told me that they thought I should do, and and started really listening to what what my inner voice was telling me. And I remember one coach that I had in the early days saying, "Oh, you can't talk about intuition. You can't talk about spirituality. That's too woohoo." And so I went, "Oh, okay," but it didn't feel right. I felt like I was really restricted, and so yeah, I made many mistakes. But when I started to take on their advice for lots of things, but then I'd run it past my inner self and go, does this feel right? Does this feel aligned to me? Does this feel good to me? Does this feel like I'm expressing me and not my coach or my mentor or someone else? Because it's easy to get caught in someone else's shadow, and you start to lose your identity. And so along the way that happened, and I had to crawl back and reinvent myself. And when I found my unique point of difference, my genius, that's when it all started to change. My health improved, my relationships improved, money flowed a whole lot easier and more abundantly. And I started to attract those like-minded people to me. And guess what? I began to feel happy and joyful, and it reflected in my life, in my career, in my business. So today, the 3 steps I'm going to talk about are: number one is refocus, number two is re-energize, and number three is reinvent yourself. So step one, when you refocus, it's very much about going within. It's about self awareness. You start to open yourself up to be vulnerable, but it challenges you to be honest with yourself. And that when you're honest with yourself, you start to create space and a mindset to shift in that mindset to really dig deep and explore who you really are, prioritizing you, because putting yourself first is not selfish. But as women, we've been taught generationally, um, that we look after everyone else and we put our own needs last. And now energetically, the world shifted, things have changed, and we know this new paradigm of business is all about putting ourselves first to heal and repair, because when we're operating at 100%, then we can give 100% to others, but we can't give from an empty cup. And that's why there's so much burnout, there's so much fatigue, there's so much exhaustion, so much overwhelm, so much self-doubt, so much depression and anxiety. And the World Health Organization have declared stress as the health epidemic of the 21st century. So we know that this new paradigm of business is going to help to address that. And it starts with self-awareness. It starts with us refocusing and looking after our own needs first. Because mental illness is the leading cause of long-term sickness absence in Australia, which costs business industry approximately $12 billion in absenteeism, reduced productivity, and compensation claims annually. And the research shows that within our working lifetime, 45% of Australians are going to suffer a mental health condition, which can go from acute to chronic. So what that is telling me that half of us, so 1 in 2 people, are going to experience not being fulfilled in their life, not being happy, not being able to achieve their mission that they came into this life to do, which is really sad when we know that we can turn this around and we can make a difference. And we know that poor work-life balance predisposes to anxiety, depression, and low self-worth. And it's directly related to poor mental and physical health. So when we start to refocus, to become self-aware, to make these slight shifts and tweaks there, that's when we're on the road to making change, making a difference. And we know that the science tells us that when we experience low self-esteem, we're more likely to suffer from low morale, be less engaged both in work, in business, in life, in relationships, be less productive and unhappy. And we know with those components that it affects the biology in our bodies and starts to break down our cell function, which predisposes to disease, which impacts our mental fitness. So, does this feel like you? Do you feel like life's too hard? That perhaps you've maybe lost your direction and need to find some clarity to gain confidence, to get some more energy and vitality, to get that spark back in your life? Well, it starts with self care strategies. And it's things like simple things like meditating, journaling, deep breathing, breath work, taking a walk in nature, looking up at the sun, drinking fresh water, eating clean food, cutting out preservatives and colorings in food, trying to eat organic if you can. And just these simple things, being mindful so that when you have a negative thought, you become aware of it straight away and turn it into a positive. Look at why you're having that negative thought. What's the lesson to learn? And then turn it into a more positive one. And it's all about nurturing yourself. And the more that you do that, the more that you practice gratitude. There's lots and lots of research that shows the more that we practice gratitude, the better, the more fulfilling our lives become, because we're vibrating at a higher frequency that's helping to heal our body intrinsically. Because we know that when we're exhausted, it's difficult to have clear direction. It just feels too hard to start. And you can just keep beating yourself up about it, saying that, nothing works, you've tried it before. But once you start to make these little shifts, your direction starts to shift quite subliminally. Often you don't really even see the changes, it's that subtle. But when you start to change the way you see things, the way you see things change. So get clear that and make yourself a promise that you're ready to move, that you don't want to stay stuck in this state of feeling ordinary, having the brain fog. And the anxiety and the self-doubt, that's a major breakthrough when you go, enough's enough, it's time for me to make some changes. Then the brain fog starts to lift, the self-doubt starts to go, and you start to feel that you're a bit worthy, that you are contributing, you are making a difference in the world. So when you refocus, you go back to the basics, you get clear on who you are, and you really start to understand who you are. And it involves you letting go of old thoughts and beliefs that are no longer serving you, no longer working for you, no longer aligned to who you want to be now. And you start to be able to choose who you want to be and how you want to do it. And you know what? When you start to do that, you start to let go of the fear that's been holding you back. So, step two is, how do we reinvent ourselves? So, when I left the corporate world and set my own practice, I had to reinvent myself. And my aha moment was when I stopped playing small and I stepped out behind the shadow of others and found my voice. I acknowledged that, I've found my unique point of difference, where my power stood, what my genius was, what really lit me up when I was working with others. And I started to acknowledge that, you know, no one could do the work that I do the way I do it, because I come from my soul driven business. And other people might do similar things, but they don't do it the same way that I do it, because energetically we come from different places. And so I started to do what I wanted to do, and I gained my voice, and I started to be really brave and verbalize. We started to talk about intuition and spirituality, and merging the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional components, and bring them together, and the power of our thoughts and how we can change them. And so gradually the woohoo became less woohoo and more normalized, and attracting people on a similar wavelength to me, who perhaps didn't understand what was going on initially, but knew that the energetic, they were like magnets being attracted. So when you get rid of the excess baggage that you're holding on to, all that self-doubt, the false beliefs, is really powerful. And that's when you start taking quantum leaps ahead in your life, in your business, in your career. You get to stand in your power, and you get to take control of not only your health, but your life, your career, your business. And you start to come from a place of power, and it feels good. You get clear about the message that you want to share, your uniqueness and what it's about. And you get to choose how you show up every day. And I know from experience, if you show up feeling miserable, feeling sad, feeling lonely, feeling negative, you're going to attract that type of energy, that type of person to you. But if you wake up and you're excited, you're grateful about the day, you're really switched on and vibrant and super excited about what's going to unfold in front of you for the day, even though you don't know what it is, then you're going to attract like-minded people, and you're going to have that high vibe energy coming and meeting you. And that just multiplies and reverberates out like a ripple in a pond. And that's where we change, but also we start to change the people around us. So when I found my voice, it helped me gain confidence to use it. And I started to really trust me. And by unpacking my uniqueness and finding my message, it's empowering, it's fun, and it's expansive. And with you incorporating step one, refocus. Step two, re-energize. And step three, step one is reinvent. Step two is refocus. Step three is re-energize. So to re-energize, our DNA inside our body holds all the codes, all the information to our health blueprint. And when we learn how to activate this, and this is what I do with my clients when we work energetically in the quantum, and we start to get clarity. And when we get clarity, we get more energy, and we start to see the emotional reasons that are causing the physical symptoms that we may have. Say if it's, negativity, it's sadness, it's isolation, whatever it is. And these are the feelings, these are the emotions, these are the thoughts that keep us feeling stuck and stopping us from being able to move forward. And these energies are really heavy and dense, and they perpetuate poor health. And when you've got poor health, you feel disempowered. You don't feel like you've got a powerful voice. You don't feel like you've got a message worth sharing. So when you find that unique point of difference, you start to claim your power, your purpose. So why is that so important? When you find your purpose, your passion, it helps you to gain your confidence. It helps to improve your health. You get to have fun. You get to have abundance and prosperity because you start to create a life that you desire. You start to manifest what you want because you're aligned to your purpose, your reason for being here. So when you re-energize yourself, when you identify and claim your uniqueness, that gives you energy. It's kind of like a turbo boost. When you know what your unique point of difference is, that's your superpower. That's when your life, your business, your career, your relationships start to really go and flow, feel effortless. And you find that you start doing things that you really love. And the things that you were doing that were a struggle, that were hard work, you just seem to stop doing them. They sort of leave your vision, your range, and they're no longer important, because when you're in alignment, everything flows. You're in balance. And when you get into balance, that's where the cells in your body begin to reset, they realign, and they heal. And that can happen without medication. It can happen a lot of the time by you just doing the self-care work. So if you're not aligned, we can pretty much see that there'll be some health issues of some kind, whether it's loss of confidence, which leads to gastrointestinal issues, whether it be constipation, diarrhea, reflux. Um, Emotionally vulnerable can lead to you being more anxious or depressed or sad or lonely. Less motivated can lead to gaining weight, to just being really unproductive. When you go into self-doubt, that's when you really harbor those negative, low vibrational energies that make you start to feel unworthy, and you have difficulty sleeping. And we know that when you don't sleep well, it prevents the organs in the body from repairing during the normal sleep cycle. And when we become isolated and disconnected, we can spiral down into that deep black hole, which we don't want to go to. So if you feel like you might be spiraling a bit, I recommend you to go back and do the step one, refocus, start implementing some self-care practices for you, doing some fun things, making yourself go out in the sunshine and fresh air, walking in nature, walking along the beach, because we're in this new paradigm now where we're doing business differently, we're doing life differently. And it starts with self-awareness and self-care, respecting you, being aware of your energy, your emotions, allows you to align to your unique blueprint, your unique point of difference, your purpose, your passion, your why. And as Tony Robbins said, experts should be our coaches, but not our commanders. And he went on to say it means taking control of educating yourself about what works so you can make informed and independent decisions how to protect and enhance your physical well-being. So I think that kind of sums up education. Knowledge is power. And the more knowledge and information you have about how you can improve your own self care, how you can improve your mental fitness, then you get to choose whether you go Western medicine, pharmaceutical medicines, Eastern medicines, energetic medicine, or combine all of them. There is just a smorgasbord of various healing techniques that you can choose from. So, in summary, there's the 3 steps to improve your mental fitness. And the first one is refocus. And that's change the way you look at things. Become self-aware, because self-care helps to shift your limiting beliefs and really gets to anchor in who you are, what your purpose is. Number 2 is reinvent yourself. Give yourself permission to do business differently. The old way of doing business, excuse me, is fear-based and ego-driven, and that leads to burnout. The new way of doing business is all about self-awareness. It's about balance. It's about having fun. It's being aligned to your soul blueprint, your purpose, your why, and staying present. And the third point is re-energize. When you identify your unique point of difference, your purpose, your why, you align to your health blueprint and you have more clarity, you have more energy, you have more fun. So the new paradigm of business is factoring in your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body. And the outputs of that are wellness, of motivation, focus, being present, creating boundaries, being empathic, using your social skills so that you're respectful, that you keep your integrity, you align to your values, your beliefs, and you create those boundaries so that you're attracting people, like-minded people, and you're saying yes to positives, and you're kind of disregarding any negatives that may be coming along, because if they're not aligned to your values and your beliefs, then you don't really want to be entertaining them because they're out of alignment for you. So this is only a small section of the process of improving your mental fitness. As I say, after an hour, we're not going to be able to share all the goodness, but it's what I'd like to do now is just to share the offer that I have for you that will help you to strengthen your mental fitness and improve your health, align to your business blueprint, your career, while you're having fun, joy, happiness, gaining clarity and freedom, all while getting more energy. So this offer is optional. And remember earlier I said that I only work with 5 people at a time, directly one-on-one. So if this is resonating with you and you're ready to make the commitment and investment to yourself, now is your chance. So what I'm going to do is I need to just let me see if I can pop the link in the chat. No, that's not happened. Let me see. Just give me a second to pull this up. While I'm doing this, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat. And if you come in on replay, you can still pop your questions in there, and I will circle back and answer them later on. So I just need to find this link for you. If you just bear with me a second. Okay, here we go. Link to offer. Let me just pop it in the chat. Okay, so I've popped the link in there to the chat, so that will explain more about the offer. So today's offer is you're going to have a health and business strategy session, a half-day session with me, an intuitive one-on-one healing and alignment activation in the quantum field with me, a 45-minute one-on-one clairvoyant aura reading and energy healing and activation, where I'll take you through an energetic cleanse. And you also get a personally selected self-development book and exclusive access to my VIP Facebook group. So that the total investment value of that is $4,165. And today, if you want to buy it after this webinar, it will cost you $1,997. So not even $2,000. But if you want to buy it today before the end of, by midnight tonight, I'm going to give you an additional 2 bonuses. And so bonus 1 is going to be a 4-day online health energetics masterclass that will go through each masterclass is about 90 minutes. And so we take you through all the energy systems in the body. There's activations, there's clearance, there's wisdom, there's golden nuggets in there. And so that's 4 days of that. And the second bonus is receiving a daily frequency tune-up for the first 7 days. And what that does is it starts to activate your wellness, your health codes. It starts to awaken that intuition. It starts to activate your psychic, your intuitive abilities more. Super powerful. So these additional bonuses are over $2,000. So with the total package comes to a total investment of $6,200, and your investment today will be $1,997, and that's including the 2 bonuses as well. All this work is done with me, one-on-one. As I say, I only work with 5 people at a time, because working in energy, I have to make sure that my energy stays high so that I can support you to take your frequency higher, so that you can start to help heal, to create an action plan to move forward. But the initial step is to heal, to repair, to set the groundwork, the platform, the foundation, so that you can really get a robust mental fitness, so that your health is really strong, so that you can create a life of your dreams, your desires, and move forward with that. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to take any questions from you. I've popped a link in the chat box there for you. and that will take you to the landing page that will explain a bit more about what's there. If you want to message me, I'm happy to jump on a call with you to give you a bit more clarity if it's resonating with you. But you have two options. Option one is you do nothing and your life stays the same. Or option two, you jump in right now and let's work together. Let's get the results that you deserve and help you master the three key steps to improve your mental fitness, your life, your career, your business, your relationships, all while having fun, gaining freedom, because ultimately it's the lifestyle balance that we're all after. So a question I want to leave you with is, how much is your mental fitness worth? Because you might be thinking there's always tomorrow, but I challenge you to ask yourself, what if? What if you could create a healthy life by design now? How would that feel? What if you had an abundance of energy and vitality now? What other things could you be doing? What if you could have a better life where the outputs are clarity, passion, fun, freedom, joy, health, all now? How different would your life feel and look like? And what if you choose to do life and business differently, that's in alignment, in balance? How do you think that would feel in your life? And what would it look like for you? Is this your time? I've left my contact details on the PDF if you want to get in touch with me, if you would like to leave a review, if you'd like to chat more with me, I'm happy to jump on a call. I hope that this webinar has been insightful, that you've had some aha moments, and I look forward to hearing how you go, how your health improves, how your mental fitness improves. And please feel free to share this link to others who maybe you think will find it interesting or useful or helpful for them. Thank you for taking the time to spend with me to listen to my stories on mental fitness and aligning to your soul blueprint, your health blueprint. Bye for now.